Brodes Perry was a pastor of a church. He was a husband. And he was a man who enjoyed life. He was 36 years old at the time of his death. He wasn't perfect. He had flaws, much like a lot of people have flaws. In the fall of 2016, he was one of the pastors at a church in Little Rock. He knew the defendant through his role at that church. She was a member of the church, and I believe she was a leader of a life group in that church. She was going through a divorce or had recently divorced. They talked about that. A sexual relationship between the two of them began sometime around February of 2017. And you'll hear that that relationship went on until sometime the end of 2018 or maybe even going into 2019. Went on for several years. Toward the end of 2018, I believe it was around October, Mr. Perry and his wife took a job, well, Mr. Perry took a job. He and his wife moved to Collierville in Shelby County because he took a job at Mississippi Boulevard Church here, also working as, I think, an executive pastor at that church. So not the senior pastor or the preaching pastor, but he was working with that church here in Shelby County. So they left Little Rock and moved here. That resulted in the relationship between the defendant and Mr. Perry became strained. He decided he didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. They lived away from each other. I don't know the reasons that he decided that, but he did when they moved back here. On April the 4th of 2019, the defendant left Little Rock. She stopped at a gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas, where she purchased a Ruger 9mm handgun, and she purchased ammunition. And she drove the 2.5 or 3 hours from there to Collierville, Tennessee, where she showed up somewhere 9, 10 o'clock that night at Mr. and Miss Perry's residence. Mr. Perry wasn't there, but Miss Perry let her in. And they sat and talked for a while until Mr. Perry came in. Miss Perry knew the defendant from when they were in the church together in Little Rock. In fact, the two of them played tennis once a week. Miss Perry considered herself to be friends with the defendant. And so when she showed up at the door, she let her in and they talked. The defendant waited there until Brodes Perry got home. They talked for a few minutes more, and she said, "Well, I'm going to leave. Don't want to bother y'all anymore." Mr. and Miss Perry were about to walk her out the door when the defendant pulled the 9mm handgun that she had purchased 3 or 4 hours earlier. And she shot Mr. Perry multiple times. The medical examiner will testify they pulled 5 bullets out of his body. She also shot Tabatha Perry as she was kneeling beside her husband, trying to get him to quit, trying to help him, and trying to get the defendant to quit shooting. She was still on the scene with the gun when the police department arrived. You'll hear that the bullets that the medical examiner recovered from Mr. Perry's body matched the Ruger 9mm that she purchased from the gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas. TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, to analyze those, and those matched. You'll hear that the shell casings, 7, I believe, recovered from the apartment, were fired from the Ruger that she purchased from the gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas. There was a bullet recovered from the scene at the apartment that also was fired from the gun that she bought from the sporting goods store in Sherwood, Arkansas. You'll see video from the sporting goods store in Sherwood, Arkansas that shows the defendant going into the store, purchasing the ammunition and the gun, and leaving. You'll see the credit card that she purchased it with and the receipts where the last 4 of the credit card match, showing the date and the time that she purchased that handgun. She had all kind of time to think about what she was doing. At the end of the proof, we're going to ask you to find her guilty as indicted in counts 1, 2, and 3 of the indictment. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Latoshia Daniels is a woman who has spent her life surrounded by men who hurt women. Not all of those were physically abusive. Some were emotionally abusive. But from a very young age, Latoshia listened at night with her 2 little sisters as her father beat her mother. Her father was a minister in the church, well respected in the community. Being his daughter meant something in her town. She knew she could never tell anyone the truth about what happened behind closed doors. When Latoshia was 17 years old in high school, she got pregnant. And her father mandated that she marry. So at 17 years old, she married a man named Rodney. She and Rodney were married for a while, and then he eventually strayed in the relationship. She caught him cheating on her, and she was devastated. And that was the first time that Latoshia tried to commit suicide. She felt like she had failed her marriage, kids, her father, her family, and that they would all be better off without her. She tried to take her life. The ongoing struggle with mental health would continue throughout Latoshia's life. Her next marriage was to a man named Brian. Brian was not physically abusive. But very shortly after Latoshia and Brian got married, he completely shut her out emotionally. When she would come home, she would sit in the parking lot or the driveway and cry. Because she knew when she walked into that house, a house that is supposed to be a home filled with love and filled with comfort and acceptance, she would get her husband would sit on the couch and watch TV and then sit on the couch. And that went on for 8 years. And at a certain point, Latoshia found herself so starved for love and for attention that she sought out counseling. She tried to get her husband to go with her to marriage counseling, but he wouldn't. So Latoshia decided that she needed spiritual guidance. She needed to know that if she was going to be getting divorced, that she could find that amends with God for another marriage family. Now, Brodes Perry was an assistant pastor at St. Mark's Baptist Church in Little Rock, one of the biggest Baptist churches in Little Rock. He was one of the pastors that selected, among the thousands of church members, selected about 40 people to be life group leaders. Latoshia was one of those people selected. And the group that she was in was one of about 7 or 8 people that Brodes Perry was directly over. And they had a very close, tight-knit group. Brodes Perry took very particular interest in his group. And while Latoshia was struggling, seeking this spiritual covering, she reached out to Pastor Perry because she trusted him. She felt like she could be safe talking to him. She did not seek him out for a relationship. They met, had a counseling session where Latoshia poured her heart out to him for almost 2 hours in tears, talking about the complete emotional neglect, the lack of love, the lack of attention, and how it made her feel in the marriage that she was currently in. And Pastor Perry listened, but seemed distracted to Latoshia. Several weeks had passed and she was still struggling with these feelings, and so she reached out for a second session. And when she talked to Pastor Perry at the beginning, she said, "I appreciate you meeting with me, but I don't understand why when we met, you had your hands shoved in your jacket the whole time I was talking to you." Pastor Perry told her that he was doing that so that he could maintain his professionalism. As she was pouring her heart out to him, all he could do was think about sleeping with her. And when this counseling session started, within minutes, he grabbed her chair, pulled her to him, and began kissing her. And this woman who had been so starved for love and affection was finally receiving that. She did not seek it out, but she was receiving it. And that session that was supposed to be counseling her through her divorce became the first time that Latoshia Daniels and Brodes Perry had sex. Immediately after that, Brodes Perry and Latoshia started a relationship. But there were rules to be in a relationship with Brodes Perry. She immediately had to download the Confide app. Confide is similar to a Snapchat, where you open the message, you read it, and it disappears, and it's gone forever. That was the only means of communication that she was allowed to have with him, through that app. Brodes Perry traveled with the church. Pastors sometimes had their trips. Church groups had their trips. Latoshia was to go on those trips. She had to pay her own way. He could not have his credit card tied with her flights. She was expected to be there. And while they were on trips, they would stay together in a hotel room. If Latoshia was inside the hotel room, She was required to be naked, no matter what. She was inside that hotel room. And if she had the audacity to put on clothing inside a hotel room, he would get angry with her. He went so far as to say, if we are ever together and I am suffering from a medical emergency, do not call 911. You call Pastor Pointer. He will get me help. You don't do it. You get as far away from me as you need to get for nobody to find out about this. By the end of their relationship, one of the rules was that Latasha was required to answer him with either yes, sir, or no, sir. Brodes had a lot of rules. Latasha had fallen so deeply in love with him after being so starved in her past relationship that she was willing to follow him. She was willing to do whatever he wanted her to do because he loved her. She loved him. There was a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around this relationship, though, because she knew that he was married. Now, she was in the process of a divorce, but she knew Tabatha. Brodes was interested in a unique lifestyle, something called ethical non-monogamy. Basically, what ethical non-monogamy teaches is that as long as everyone in the relationship is informed and honest, that even from a marriage, you can have extramarital relationships. Brodes told Latasha this is a lifestyle that he wanted, and that Tabatha would allow him to have it. She was willing to let him engage in this ethical non-monogamy. And Brodes told Latasha, you and Tabatha will be sister wives. You will live with us. We will have a life together. I just haven't told her, but I will. But I will. And so despite the shame and the guilt from this relationship, Latasha proceeded with the affair. As part of this ethical non-monogamy, Brodes had a chat group, and it all started around this book that is kind of the guidebook for ethical non-monogamy. The book is called The Ethical Slut. Brodes made Latasha read that book because it outlined what he was allowed to do. In the big group chats about this book, Brodes developed this kind of side chat that was with him and two other women, where they discussed their ethical non-monogamy. Hours and hours and hours, Brodes talked to them via video about how Tabatha was on board with his ethical non-monogamy. So much that when he said, okay, I want to do this, Tabatha said, you should do it with Latasha. She's your person. Let me talk to her. I'll break the ice. Tabatha selected Latasha, is what Brodes was telling the other women in this group. And that Tabatha was completely on board because he was being so honest and so open and so truthful with her, that he was so honest that not only could he have Latasha, he could have another woman too. He talked about these conversations that Tabatha would have with Latasha. the role that she played in their relationship. Hours on video. None of it's true. None of it. Tabatha had no idea that her husband was in this relationship for 2 years. Despite the fact that he was telling these women that she was completely on board and involved. And despite the fact that he was telling Latoshia that she was on board with this lifestyle and that it would be okay. They would all be able to do this together. And so the relationship goes on. They take trips. Latoshia buys him lavish gifts. They are happy. They see each other almost every day. They start drinking bourbon together. They start going to cigar lounges together. They start biking together, join a biking group. They would run together. Full relationship. That Latoshia thought Tabatha had sanctioned, even though she didn't know about it. And towards the end of 2018, Brodes Perry got offered a position at Mississippi Boulevard Baptist Church here in Memphis. It's a big church here in Memphis. It's a prestigious church to be a pastor at here in Memphis. And Brodes talked to Latoshia about whether he should accept this offer, and she said, yes, this is a huge opportunity, absolutely. She organized a going away party for him and Tabatha. After Brodes moved in October of 2018, he would come back to Little Rock. He still had his orthodontist in Little Rock, so he'd come back to get his braces tightened. And when he would come in town, he and Latoshia would pick up where they left off. But things did start to change in the way Brodes was treating her. And around March the 15th, Brodes came in town and texted Latoshia, I'm here at the hotel, come meet me. So she went. And on this day, she had the audacity to be wearing clothes when he walked in. He got very angry with her. And she apologized. And they proceeded to have sex. This was not a day that they made love. This is a day that he had sex with her. He was demeaning and degrading, borderline aggressive with her, which is something that he had never done before. Pulling her hair, shoving himself into her mouth, hurting her, slapping her. Nothing that she had ever experienced with him before. She felt so used and humiliated and broken by that experience with him, this man that she loved so much and had put so much of her life into, for him to treat her like a piece of trash. Broke her heart. And that became the second time that she attempted to commit suicide. The next day, she came back to the hotel room with a gun. She told him, you hurt me so bad. I want you to hurt like I hurt. And she wanted to kill herself in front of him so that he knew what it felt like to break because of somebody that you say that you love. He got the gun away from her, and they talked. Brodes always knew what to say to Latoshia to get her to do what he wanted. And he did on this day. She did not kill herself. But she was still broken. They took some time apart, still talking on the phone, but not seeing each other in person. And on April the 4th, Latoshia of 2019, Latoshia opened her Confide app and saw a message from Brodes. It said something to the effect of, "Our time has come to an end." And it disappeared. He ended their 2-year relationship. There was supposed to be a life with a disappearing cat. And Natasha said, "I was right to want to die." And she found herself so deep down in that dark hole that God could not reach her. And she didn't think that she deserved for God to reach her. She didn't have a gun anymore because Brodes had taken hers. Around 3 o'clock that afternoon, she wrote a letter to her family and left it for them to find in her phone. She told them goodbye. She told them that she was sorry. That she knows that they would be better without her. Her life is better. They would be better without her. And around 4 o'clock that afternoon, she didn't even take her purse with her to that gun store. She took her license and a debit card. She went and bought a gun to end her agony. She had chosen a place that was of significance to her to go and commit suicide. It was in Jacksonville, Arkansas, Johnson Park. And as she was driving down the interstate, she just kept thinking, if I could just see him, if I could just talk to him, he would understand. We can be okay again. This doesn't have to happen. I need to see him one more time. Even if this is where this goes, I just need to see him one more time. And she looked up and saw the exit to Memphis. And she turned around. She found herself in downtown Memphis, which is a place that she is not accustomed to. And she knew, because they were such regular communicators, she knew that on Thursday nights, Brodes would be at the cigar lounge. So she went to the cigar lounge. As she was walking up, Brodes walked out. She knows her rules. You do not approach him. She was not allowed to approach him because she didn't know if he was with somebody. He had to approach her so that she knew that she could talk to him in public. So she sees him and walks directly past him and waited for him to say, "Latoshia." When he did that, she came back and talked to him. And they talked for a while. She was telling him how heartbroken she was. And he said, "It doesn't make any sense that my wife is okay with me having other women, but my girlfriend isn't." And she said, I'll be okay with it. You can do it. If that will fix it, I will do that. We'll give you that. And just like she had so many times in this relationship with him pressuring her to get a watcher or to have a threesome or to engage in this ethical non-monogamy, she gave in. because she loved him so much that she was willing to do whatever she had to do to keep him. And he said, "You haven't been willing to do that so far." She said, "Well, you haven't even told Tabatha about this. You know, how can I think that you're going to be honest with me when you haven't even told her?" And so Brodes said, "Fine. You want to tell her? We'll go tell her. Go to my apartment. Talk to her about tennis. Tell her you're in town for a convention. I've got to run an errand to Pastor Turner's house. I'll be there soon. You go tell her." Latoshia said, "No, you need to be the one to tell her. I'll be there. I'll go there. But we need to tell her together." And so Latoshia went to their apartment, where she had never been before. He gave her the address. He had actually given it to her before they even moved out of Little Rock. And so Latoshia arrives at this apartment complex that she's never been to at night. She's not from here. She doesn't frequent Memphis. She doesn't know the difference between downtown Memphis and Courtroom. She just knows it was dark outside, and she had to walk from her car to the apartment. And as she's sitting in her car, she starts having second thoughts. And she calls Brodes. She says, "Are you sure we should do this? I'm scared." But she had so much hope at this point. She thought that things were finally falling into place, that they were finally going to tell Tabatha. They would finally be able to be openly and honestly together. And Brodes didn't answer. So Latoshia went to the apartment, softly knocked on the door. Tabatha was inside, and she heard something but ignored it. So a couple seconds later, a little bit louder. So Tabatha gets up and goes to investigate, see who's at her door. She looks through the peephole and doesn't see anything. Talking through the door, she says, "You know I'm not going to open this door unless I can see you, right?" And at that point, Latoshia kind of put herself into the frame of the peephole. And Tabatha says, "Latoshia, is that you?" She opens the door, gives Tasha a hug, invites her in. And they talk about tennis, and they talk about her being in town for a conference. And they sit in the living room and chat. Brodes comes home a little while later, walks in, and Tabatha texted him while she and Latoshia were talking, said, "I've got a surprise for you." And so he walked in, and he just said, "That wasn't the surprise I was expecting." It seemed very distant. So he sits, kind of makes some awkward conversation with Latoshia, small talk, but he won't look at her. He will not acknowledge the elephant that Latoshia knows is in the room. He offers her some bourbon. She says sure. Tabatha said no because she had been drinking earlier in the day, so she didn't want any more. And Brodes poured himself some. And they chatted for a few more minutes, but Brodes really started completely ignoring Latoshia there. And she saw the writing on the wall that this wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to tell her. And so she said, "You know what, I'm not going to keep going." But she wanted to talk to him. She wanted to find out why. She said, "Brodes, walk in my car. Southern hospitality, you're the man. You know, will you walk me to my car?" He said, "No, Tabatha will walk you in." She said, "No. Be a gentleman, walk me to my car." And he said, "No, Tab will do it." So Tab got up, started walking out. She did not even understand the enormity of that moment behind her, when he wouldn't even walk outside and take a moment to talk to her. She put her hands in her pocket, and she felt the gun was in there as she was reaching for her keys. She did not think about what was happening. This was not what she came there to do. In that moment, she broke. And she did shoot Brodes Perry. While screaming, "He broke my heart." And Tabatha ran to shield him and jumped in front of him. And that is when she got struck in the shoulder. And Tabatha said to her, "Latasha, you shot me." And Latasha said, "No, I didn't." She said, "Yes, you did. You shot me." And Latasha said, "I didn't mean to shoot you." And Tabatha said, "Just go, leave. The police are on their way. Just go." Because Tabatha, when all this started, was already outside. She ran to the neighbor's house, knocked on the door, and said, "Call 911," and then ran back in. Latasha had never threatened her, never tried to shoot her, nothing. This was a moment that broke between Latasha and Brodes. But it was not a moment of cool, calm judgment. It is not what that night was supposed to be. That night was supposed to be a start, not an end. But that night, she broke. And she's lived with that every day since. And it hurts her. She feels shame about what happened. To know that her hands did that. This was not judgment and reflection. This was a break. She just started. And when the police came, their guns drawn, yelling at her to put down the gun, she didn't even register them. Didn't respond to them. Tabatha said that she was bringing the gun to her head, towards her mouth, not even acknowledging the police. And in assessing the situation, police determined that they should use a non-lethal round. And they shot Latasha in the chest with that non-lethal round. She was thrown to the ground. Did not. The police did not choose to use their firearms. They chose to use a non-lethal round. They actually tried to use a non-lethal round first, and the gun jammed. They ran down to their car and ran back up with another non-lethal round. No other shots were fired in that entire time. This was not what this night was supposed to be.
State, you may call your first witness.
State calls Tabatha Perry, Your Honor.
The doors approach. gonna take a short recess, okay, and then we'll reconvene, okay?
Quit standing in brief recess. You'll leave your pen and pads in the chair and follow me.
Can I get you to speak up? Explain like you're trying to reach the back door. Okay. She's recording everything, so we want to make sure we get everything you say.
When were y'all married?
2014, February 2014.
And were you married to him in April of 2019 when he died?
Yes.
How old was he at that time?
38?
I'm gonna pass you something and ask you if you can identify it. Can you identify that?
Yeah, that's Brodes Perry.
Judge, that's that big mark. State's Exhibit 1, please.
No objection.
I will show the photo of Brodes Perry as Exhibit 1.
May I publish that for the jury?
Yes.
Is that the photo you used to identify?
Yes.
When's the last time you talked to him?
April
4?
4th, 2019.
2019. And that's the day he died.
Correct.
Were you there when that happened?
Yes.
Where were y'all living at the time?
Colderville, Tennessee.
How long had y'all been in Shelby County?
Approximately 6 months.
Where were you before that?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
And what did Mr. Perry do as his occupation?
He was a pastor.
And is that what he did in Little Rock as well?
Yes.
Where was he at Little Rock? Where was he a pastor at?
St. Mark Baptist Church.
And you know, is that a big church?
Yeah, it's a big church.
They have a lot of pastors.
Yes.
What was his role as a pastor there?
He was a pastor of assimilation. So his responsibility was basically new members as well as small groups.
Did you do any counseling or anything at that church?
No.
I want to take you specifically to April 4th of 2019. And that night, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, where were you?
I was home.
And was Brodes there with you?
No, he's not.
Did you have a visitor?
I did.
Was it an expected visitor or an unexpected visitor?
Unexpected.
Kind of tell me how that went.
I heard a knock at the door. So me and the dog went to the door. I didn't see anyone. Well, the people was covered. And so I thought it was Brodes just playing around. So I said something like, I'm not gonna open the door if I can't see anyone. So I went and sat back down. And I heard a knock again, so I went back to the door. And I peeked out the door, and I saw like a lock, like swinging. And I was like, Tasha, is that you? And she, nodded, yeah. So I was like, okay, let me put the dog up. I went and put the dog up, and then I came back and opened the door.
Okay. So you knew Latoshia Daniels.
Yes.
Is she in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you point her out for us, please?
right there.
What color shirt she wearing?
Blue.
Light blue or dark blue?
Light blue.
For the record, Judge, she's identified the defendant.
Will let the record reflect the defendant has been identified.
How would you describe your relationship with the defendant?
Friendly.
Okay. You knew her, you may have said this, where did you know her from?
I knew her from church
In Memphis or Little Rock?
in Little Rock.
Did y'all do other things together outside of church?
I would say from maybe July to October, we played tennis together like once a month. I went to a couple dance classes. I think she had a former client who taught dance, so I went to a couple dance classes, or my life group would go with her life group to a couple dance classes.
So it was somebody you knew from church, somebody you knew from some events at church, somebody you played tennis with occasionally, so you knew her fairly well, would you say that?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think when she just showed up? Did you have any idea she knew where you lived, or?
I knew that it was odd. I felt like it was odd, but I guess it was one of those things where, it's like, this is weird, but okay. I knew that before we left Little Rock, we gave a lot of people our address, a lot of people were, keep in contact, give me your forwarding address, that type of thing. So I really didn't allow myself to really think past that. I just figured, oh, we must have given her our address.
So it wouldn't have been unusual for somebody from the church in Little Rock to know where you were in Memphis?
Wouldn't be unusual, no.
Did you ask her what she was doing there?
Yeah, I asked her what she was doing there, and she said that she was in town for a conference.
So what'd y'all do after you
I invited
welcomed her in, and
Yeah.
what happened then?
I invited her in, and we just sat on the couch and just kind of caught up. How are you? What's going on? How are the kids? Have you been playing tennis? Stuff like that. Just really small talk.
Did you notify Mr. Perry that she was there?
I texted him, and I just, gave like the big eyeballs, and I was like, I either said weird or strange or something like that. But I didn't go into detail to tell him what was going on or that she was there.
Did you ask him to come home if he was available to come home?
No, because I knew he was already on the way home.
Okay, so you had, I guess, had a conversation with him by phone, text, or something, and so you had an idea he was coming home.
Yeah.
How long do you think that she was there prior to Mr. Perry getting home? Approximately. I mean, it's not 5 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't know.
If I had to guess, I would say maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know.
And kind of describe what happened when Mr. Perry came in the door.
He came in, and he's like, I thought there was a surprise here for me. This isn't a surprise. This is an unexpected guest. Real agitated.
Did he seem to know that she would be there?
No, he didn't give away to me that he thought she would be there. So he said that, and then he was, telling me about, he had brought me some aminos or something, and just regular small talk, and then he sat down and started basically grilling her about why she was there.
Okay. And how long did y'all continue to have conversation after that?
Yeah,
anything
but it
to
was
eat, drink, anything like that?
I think they may have had bourbon. I didn't have any. I think that I'm pretty sure he offered bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long would you say that she stayed?
After he got there,
After he got there.
maybe another 10 minutes.
And what happened?
She said, well, I'm not going to keep you guys. I'm going to, head out or whatever. So we all got up to walk to the door, and I led, and she was behind me, and he was behind her. And I walked to the door, and I'm just giving this little spiel about not speeding in the area, just making small talk as we go to the door. I open the door, and I go out. We're on the second floor, and I'm like right at the steps when I turn back, and I'm like, okay, no one's behind me. And then I see her pull out her gun and start shooting.
Was she inside of the apartment or outside?
No, she was outside of the apartment, and he was like standing in the doorway, like in the threshold.
Had she ever, since she got there,
Mm-hmm.
and you let her in, had she left the apartment to go back to her car or anything?
No.
So she had brought the gun in with her when she came into the apartment?
Yes.
So when she pulled the gun out, what happened next?
She started shooting. He hit the ground, and I started running toward him, and she told me, like, basically back off. So I stopped, and I ran to the neighbor's door, and I banged on the door, called 911. She went back into the apartment, so I went back into the apartment because I'm just trying to figure out what is going on. Like, why is this happening? So I'm, screaming naturally, why is this happening? What's happening? Why are you doing this?
So do you think your neighbor called 911 at that point?
One of them did. Somebody called.
When you got back into the apartment, did the defendant still have the gun in her hand?
Yes.
And what was going on then?
I guess at that point, I'm basically pleading, like, what's happening? Why are you doing this? Please leave, you know. And she's, you know, kind of pacing a little bit, you know, with the gun. At some point, the gun was reloaded.
So she fired until she ran out of bullets.
Mhm.
Were you ever shot?
I was shot.
Tell me about that. When did that happen? Where were you?
Well, at some point I got on the ground, and I can't remember if I got on the ground immediately, but I was on the ground and I was kind of hovering over him, you know, kind of in my mind. I'm like, let me cover his head, you know, so he doesn't get shot anymore. And, you know, she was yelling at me to move, and I wouldn't move. So I got shot
Where'd you get shot?
in the shoulder.
Tell me about those injuries. Where and how were you treated? What have you had to deal with since being shot?
So it went into the shoulder, it broke this bone, and so at the emergency room, they decided that they wouldn't remove the bullet because, sorry,
No, take
they,
your time.
they felt like it wasn't going to move, so they just didn't remove it. But when I got to Jacksonville, I know that's home, Florida. I went back home, and they noticed that the bullet had started moving. So the first doctor I went to was like, "This bullet is too close to your lung, so you know it's going to have to go." And I went to first I went to the orthopedic doctor, then I went to another doctor, and they decided to just remove it. And by the time it was removed, it was coming out of my back. So the bullet had punctured the skin and was poking out of my back. So I had to have it surgically removed.
So did that cause you a lot of pain the night you were shot?
Yes.
A lot of pain between being shot and having the bullet removed?
A lot of pain.
And then the surgery was also not comfortable, I'm guessing, as well?
Right. And then the shoulder is still broke on top of that. The bone
Still.
here is, you know, it was still broke the whole time. So there was the bone healing on top of the surgery and everything else.
Does it still cause you pain even today?
Sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, I'll get like a sharp pain.
There is, I mean, we've talked about this since, but, and I don't know, do you dispute the fact that Mr. Perry and the defendant were involved in a extramarital affair at the time this happened?
I don't now, no.
Prior to Mr. Perry's death, did you have any idea that the defendant and Mr. Perry were involved in any kind of inappropriate relationship?
No.
Did Mr. Perry at any time have any conversation with you about he would like to have a relationship with Latoshia Daniels?
No.
Did he at any time have a conversation with you about he wanted to have a relationship with anyone other than you, a sexual relationship with anyone other than you?
One time he told me about a book that he wanted me to read.
Right.
That was about the extent of it.
Is a marriage where you would agree to allow your spouse to have a sexual relationship with somebody else, anything that you would ever agree to?
No,
And by saying that, does that mean you never agreed to that with Mr. Perry?
I did not.
And you had no idea anything like that was going on?
I did not.
When you were on the ground trying to protect Mr. Perry, and I think you testified to this, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say that the defendant was telling you to move,
Yes,
and you refused to move,
yes,
and that's when you were shot?
correct.
cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have just a moment to get tech situated?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Archie, please, I apologize if I defer to Perry, because that was just what I've known you as. Please feel free to correct me, okay? I want to talk to you about some things regarding this case, okay? First, I want to talk about ethical non-monogamy. When you were on direct, you told Mr. McAlpin that there was a book he wanted you to read. That book was called The Ethical Slut.
I guess. I don't think I ever considered it enough to know the name, but I guess.
And that was something that he was interested in and brought to your attention.
Right. He told me about this book. Hey, I read this book. I think you should read it.
Did he tell you what it was about?
I think I've gathered what it was about, yeah.
What did you gather it was about?
I gathered that it was about people who are in open marriages.
And is that something that you were interested in?
No.
Now, there was an ethical non-monogamy group that Brodes was in, right? His book club?
Right, apparently so.
And did you know about the chat group that he had with 2 other women regarding that book?
Not at the time. This is something I learned about maybe 2 years after his death. I knew that he was in a book club. I didn't know what kind of book club it was. To know Brodes, to know is that he's very, very much a nerd. I would say after he died, I probably gave away 1,000 books. So to say I'm in a book club didn't seem out of the ordinary to me.
So, did you know that he was on this, and this was on the Marco Polo app that he was talking to these women, right? Did you know that he was talking to people on that app?
I did know, because I asked him, why are you always on this app? And he said, well, I'm in that book club, and instead of constantly typing back and forth, we just get on the video and chat about the books that we're reading.
And you saw him on there a lot?
Like, when you log on, you can see who else is on. So I'm like, why are you always on the app?
Did Brodes ever talk to you about bringing a watcher into your relationship?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about Ms. Daniels being a watcher in your relationship?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about wanting to have a girlfriend outside of having you as his wife?
No.
Did you select Ms. Daniels for Brodes to have a relationship?
No.
I'd like to show you some videos, okay? And it will be clips mostly. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about those clips, okay? question, Your Honor, if you would please just allow me to sit when I'm doing the desk stuff. Thank you.
Well, I am at a place now where I want to expand this ethical non-monogamy, and I'm just, your opinion matters to me because we are in this relationship. But at the same time, like I said from the outset, I want to be respectful, but I also want to let you know that, your opinion matters. But at the same time, I don't want you to put me in a box, right? Because while we talked about it in theory, this is now the practice part. And with a tab being perfectly fine with, the situation, because how I've handled and been honest and transparent and open with her with regard to this current relationship, me expanding it is not an issue for me. Basically, she told me, we can talk about it when you think it's worth talking about. But the way that you handle this, I'm fine with not trust your judgment because you haven't given me a reason not to. But
So this clip is him talking about Latasha not being okay with the ethical non-monogamy, and you being perfectly on board with it. Was that true?
No.
Did you believe that Brodes was being open and transparent and honest with you about his relationship with Latasha?
What relationship?
He wasn't being open with you about his relationship with Latasha, right? That there was a relationship at all.
Right.
He was not transparent about that.
There was nothing, to my knowledge, there was no relationship.
And you never said because he was so open and honest and transparent with you with his relationship with Latasha that you were okay with him then adding another girlfriend.
No.
That didn't ever happen.
No.
And photos aren't an issue at home, but I get it, but it ain't an issue. I have been though, so if we're talking, let's switch subject and get a little more serious. For me, our agreements have been simple, right? No exes, nobody from Jacksonville, Florida, which is home for us, and nobody in the city that you live in, that currently live in, which means nobody in Memphis. That was the case, of course, in Little Rock, outside of Girlfriend, because Girlfriend is in Little Rock. The way that kind of happened is, short version, when she decided to open up the marriage and allow me to be open, but it's not her. Girlfriend is a therapist, right? And she didn't go to her for therapy, but she asked us some questions. And based on this therapy session she had with this other lady. And she was asking her some questions after she had just said, bro, is this what I'm gonna let you do? Blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. And from there, she asked her some questions. And so she was like, I just got a couple questions for you. And, they would go play tennis together. She was one of my life group leaders. And so we had rapport. We had rapport. And she asked a question and was like, yeah, blase, blase, I'm thinking about this. And what do you think about this? Or what do you think X, Y, and Z could potentially be coming from? And I'm sorry, I'm looking to see who was in the cigar lounge because this is not what I really frequent that often. So I'm kind of careful about who potentially is in here because I don't want the glass all pass. I really want to go in and go chill in the back. But I'm not a member. But yeah, I'm trying to make go in there now. But anyway, so the next thing that she shared with her was, you know my husband like you, right? Well, he thinks you're attractive. And she was like, what? He's like, yeah, I know what he likes, and he thinks you're attractive. Not that he's been rude or anything like that. We've had conversation. Well, we did, because like one time we was sitting around having a watch. And she asked me, I was like, well, you gotta get her. I ain't gonna get her, so I'm coming across with this creepy guy, right? We're trying to spice things up. In that regard, even though that was even somewhat limited with the idea of somebody watching me, that's neither here nor there. But when the question came,
Just to pause it for a minute. In your relationship with Brodes, did you outline rules for him on being able to get a girlfriend from Jacksonville, knowing from where it was not true?
Not true.
Were you the one who initiated the conversation about Latasha?
No.
Did you ever reach out to Latasha about Brodes engaging with her?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about wanting a watcher, as he described here?
No.
Did you ever agree to having a watcher, as he discussed here?
No.
came up, it was her, right? Lady, she asked, well, who would you want? And that was the first thing I said. She's like, I know you like her. How could I know? So anyway, so she said, like you know, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, if you were interested, just, I'm not saying that you are, but I'm also saying I've given him this X, Y, Z, and he may come your way. And she did. But she's like, okay, cool. So we had a conversation. And after that, that's when the whole nobody in the city thing came up. It was more like, I'll give you a pass with her because I essentially gave you the alley. But nobody. So I'm trying to figure this. So fast forward, I said a whole lot of shit, right? I'm trying to get to where I'm going. So I've been thinking about the past couple of weeks in terms of expanding, my ethical non-monogamy, just kind of, so my wife, her and I, we were chatting the other day. I was like, well, baby, I got a couple of questions. I'm just curious, She knows about the group, everything like that. So I was like, when do you want to?
Just to ask a couple questions real quick. Did you ever have that conversation that he talks about with Latasha?
No.
Did you ever have that conversation that he talks about with him?
No.
Did you ever give him the XYZ that he was talking about?
No.
Did you ever give him a pass for Latasha?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about further expanding ethical monogamy in your relationship?
No.
No. Like, when do you want to know that there's someone who has my interests or someone who I would like to pursue? Do you want to know the moment that I feel like it's more than just banter? Do you want to know at the moment that I would like to begin to banter? Do you want to know once I feel like it might be a thing beyond banter? Or what? Because this is kind of new for us, right? Because, girlfriend, Tasha, that's easy. That's been 2 years. That's been it for the most part. Outside of me going, that's how I remember a thing. But it's kind of been easy in that regard. So you're trying to figure out what does that look like. So I'm just kind of really thinking through where I am with that, right? Where in terms of those. So there's a lot of newness. I said that just to say that there's still a lot of newness even in this ethical non-monogamy that I'm wrestling with. And it's fun, right? It's fun, it's interesting, it's causing us to communicate and chat and really talk again about different things that we've kind of, in a real sense, have been settled to some degree. But realizing that in this ethical non-monogamy, we got to keep things in pencil and not pen. Some things are in pencil pen, right? There's some hard news, but it gotta be inflexible in terms of what that looks like. So that's why I know you're talking about being sprung and giddy and all that stuff. I think because those flutters or those emotions, right, or those initial thoughts are all kind of new and very much new because this person is brand new. Like, I don't know Sheree, right? I knew Tasha. That was different. There was some level of familiarity there. And that's typically how I've always engaged women, right? With some level of familiarity. I cannot, whether being in the same class again in terms of college or something like that, I've never kind of quote unquote cold called anyone, if that makes sense. Because I'm not, I don't think I'm that guy. So, yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I don't know if I'm gonna go in here, but now I'm thinking how far would we go downtown? Because I'm like, there's a lot of folk in there. I don't know if I trust who's in that room right now. Shit. Memphis need to do better with smoking houses, cigar houses.
Did he ever have that conversation with you about when he needed to tell you if he was wanting to banter with someone or when it would go past banter with someone?
No,
That never happened?
no.
Did he ever, did you hear him reference going out of town on his birthday?
I thought I heard that.
Did he ever tell you about a threesome out of town on his birthday?
No,
Did you hear him mention the name Cherie?
I did hear that.
Do you know who Cherie is?
I don't believe so.
Did y'all ever talk about how ethical non-monogamy could make your relationship better?
No,
None of that ever happened.
no.
Alma Bear and brother advice at this point, and I know Danielle, you won't hear. Michelle probably doing something else, but so I want to talk to y'all about my new friend, right? The one who I kicked everybody to the curb on. So she hit me today with a boss moves and asked that I want to hook up next week. After she gets back from being out of town, that threw me the fuck off. Like, wow. Like, so she gets back on Friday. She's like, hey, we hang out Friday and Saturday. My only concern is that she is waiting a callback for an interview for a process. And she said it may be next Saturday, right? And I know that she would leave, of course, for that. And even if I'm going to Atlanta, she's about 100 miles away, she would ditch me, right? Like, I would force her, say, go, and ditch me, right? But I just don't know. I want to put myself in a situation where potentially we may not be able to hang out in that regard because she got this other stuff that she's worried about. But I am, like, high-key shocked and, like, super, like, blushed about it, because like it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like we were talking about other stuff, and it was like, "Hey, what about?" It's like, "Oh, okay, I'm with you." Wasn't expecting to see that while I was in my speech contest. I was just a counter, so it don't matter. I wasn't doing that, but I don't know what to do. I think a couple of things, right? So I live in this other tension. So that means furthering the conversation, right, with the wife, which she's in a good place about that. I think I talked to you about it, that you haven't updated Michelle about it, just in terms of girlfriend who's not taking it as well, I guess. But at the end of the day, I told her, you got to recognize this is about me, this isn't about you, and it doesn't make sense for my wife to allow me to be open with my girlfriend has an issue, like. So she's kind of chewing that, because I think in theory we've talked about this day coming, right? But it's never been a reality. Right, so I think that she's wrestling with the reality. I think that your ideas, your thoughts, yesterday was so, like, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I never thought about it like that. But that made so much sense. And it's not that I want to be disrespectful. It's not that I don't want to be ethical. But I do wrestle with that. And I just kind of talking to your perspective about what you saw. But I was like, I think that could be what this is in terms of treating this like an infidelity kind of relationship on purpose with permission versus an additional partner scenario. So I feel that. But y'all, she asked me to hook up with her.
Did Brodes ever talk to you about engaging with a woman in Atlanta? Was he open and honest and transparent about that?
No.
Did he, or did you tell him that you were open to him doing that?
No.
Had y'all been talking about that day coming where he would further expand to another girlfriend?
Close, we're close. When we were in Little Rock, she lives in Little Rock, so we're in Memphis now. I mean, it's only 2 hours away, but yes, we were in Little Rock, so we were literally, that because it was at that point, wife was like, yeah, nobody at home. Like, this is an exception because I kind of threw you that, but no, you ain't dealing with nobody at home. Like, that was Jacksonville, so our heart knows that no Jacksonville, which is hometown for us, no exes, and no place in your current city. Those are the hard no's, right? She got an exception because it was there that she realized, well, yeah, I don't think I want him to be dealing with all these people, all these women, and no doubt these women would be in the church because that's all we do is kind of hang around, or in the community or close enough. So it was kind of one of those things.
Was Latoshia Daniels an exception to your rules?
No.
Did you create rules about Jacksonville?
No.
Did you create rules about exes?
No.
Did you create rules about the city that you live in?
No.
Were those hard no's for you?
No.
Was any extramarital affair a hard no for you?
They were all hard no's for me.
Before I can say a word, she hits me with, I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry for what? So then she goes into the whole, I apologize for breaching your trust, breaching your confidence by telling P, my boss, my former boss before, about the situation. Her reasoning was that she felt like if, like you all said, if he could appeal to my quote-unquote greater senses, that I would realize the mistake that I would be making by losing such a wonderful woman. She also apologized. I said that she apologized to Tabatha when Tabatha talked. She told me that Tabatha told her that their conversation was their conversation until she revealed it, so she was not going to talk about the contents with which what they discussed. She basically said, I feel like I know what you're going to tell me. And at this...
Who is P?
He is our friend and former pastor.
Is that Philip Pointer? And he was also a pastor at St. Mark's.
Correct.
Did you know that Pastor Pointer knew about the relationship with Latasha?
No.
Did Latasha reach out and apologize to you after she threatened to commit suicide?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation with her about that?
No.
throughout all of those videos, it's very convincing talking about those things. Would you agree?
I would agree.
And none of it was true.
No.
I want to talk to you about your relationship with Brodes, okay? Y'all were married for about 5 years. How long did you date before you got married?
About a year.
You were a second wife.
Correct.
And at no point during your relationship, with you at least, did he discuss this watchers or non-monogamy?
No.
Brodes was a pastor
Correct.
in Little Rock that was at St. Mark's. So that's a
Yes.
big church.
Yes.
Did he take trips with the church
Yes.
often?
When you say trips, like international trips, or?
Both, international and local, Israel,
Yeah,
Savannah, El
often.
Dorado. Did he take those with the other pastors?
Sometimes.
And he also took them sometimes with other church members, like the church groups.
I can recall one time, maybe a time or two, where there was like a training conference or something like that. Yeah.
They did, the whole church group was for Israel, right?
Correct.
Okay. And when he got the job at Mississippi Boulevard, that's a big deal to be a pastor there, right?
I guess.
It's a big church here.
It's a big church.
And now on direct, I thought you had said that he didn't ever do counseling for
St. Mark?
at St. Mark's, but I thought you told the police that he sometimes did. You just didn't know that he counseled Latoshia.
I've never known him to do counseling.
Did he ever tell you that he counseled Latoshia?
No.
But you knew that she ended up getting divorced.
I did know that.
Now I want to talk to you about Latoshia, okay?
Okay.
You knew her from church,
Right.
and that was St. Mark's in Little Rock.
Correct.
She was a life group leader.
Yes.
What's a life group leader?
It's a person that leads a group of people that get together and do Bible study.
And that was a group that Brodes was over, right?
Correct.
And before his relationship with Latoshia started, this was a tight-knit group, right?
Yes.
He was very involved with that group.
Yes.
And it was about 7 or 8 people?
In that group, there were probably 6 or 7 groups. Yeah.
But in that particular, the group that Latoshia was in,
Yeah.
a couple of people.
Mhm.
And those groups were selected from the whole church membership, right?
Based on who showed interest. It wasn't like, we want you, people came and showed interest. Yeah,
There are thousands of church members at St. Mark's.
sure.
And I think, what about 40 or 50 people were selected to be life group leaders?
I guess, I don't know for sure.
And that's okay if you don't know. And you and Latoshia were fairly friendly.
Yeah.
You played tennis once a month for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, after Brodes got the job at Mississippi Boulevard, y'all moved from Little Rock to Memphis.
Correct.
And at no point were you aware of their relationship.
No.
Were you aware of any issues that Brodes had had at St. Mark's?
No.
Y'all moved in October,
Correct.
and that was to Carnival.
Correct.
Before y'all left, you gave your friends, church members, your new address.
Yes.
And there was a party that was thrown for y'all, right?
I think so, yeah.
Did you know that Latoshia organized that party?
It wouldn't surprise me to know that.
After you left Little Rock and moved to Memphis, you didn't see Latoshia again until April 4th, right?
Right.
And as far as you knew, neither did Brodes.
Correct.
But Brodes would come back to Memphis for his braces.
Right.
Why would he come back to Little Rock from Memphis to get his braces done?
Because the braces were paid for, but the work wasn't done in his mouth. So it just made sense to continue seeing that orthodontist.
And so Brodes would go to Little Rock, but you would stay in Memphis. Now, I want to talk to you specifically about April the 4th, okay? Now, you were at home that night.
Right.
You were watching TV.
Right?
Just you and your dog, Anakin.
Yes.
And around 9 or 9:30, you heard a noise, a faint knock.
Correct.
Ignored it.
Yep.
And then a couple of seconds, minutes later, you heard another slightly louder knock.
Yeah.
And you and Anakin, the dog, got up to go see what was going on.
Correct.
A third knock, or after you said, you know, I'm not going to open this door if I don't see who it is,
Yeah.
you saw Latoshia through the people,
Yes.
recognized it was her,
Yes.
invited her in.
Yes.
She wasn't threatening you.
No.
She did not have her gun out pointed at you.
No.
You sat, or you brought her into the house, right? And y'all sat in the living room,
Correct.
talked, right?
Yes.
Talked about tennis,
Yes.
talked about a work conference, right?
Yes.
And just chatted.
Yeah.
She seemed happy to be there.
Yeah.
She seemed happy to be talking to you.
You did.
At no point while y'all were sitting alone in the apartment was she threatening to you.
No.
She never tried to harm you.
No.
And she was seated, if I'm not mistaken, on a couch, right?
Right.
Actually. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Tabatha, do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That's my apartment in Collierville.
Your Honor, I'd ask that that be made the next numbered exhibit.
Any objection?
It's the living room.
Any objection from the state?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. All right, we'll show the photo of the living room as exhibit 2.
How do I turn this on? Should be. Your Honor, if I may publish this to the jury.
Yes.
Tabatha, is this a picture of the living room at your apartment?
Yes.
Where were you seated speaking to Latoshia?
I would have been seated on the left end of the sofa.
So, I've got, I think it won't work on the screen, it's gotta be, so like here?
Yes.
Okay. And where was Latoshia?
On the opposite end.
About here?
Right.
Next to these other chairs?
Yes.
Brodes was not home yet, right?
Right.
He had gone to Pastor Pointer's to run an errand.
No, when he
I'm
got off.
sorry, Pastor Turner.
Right. Well, he got off work. He went to the cigar bar. And then from the cigar bar, he told me he had to go drop something off at Jason's house. So he went and dropped something off, and then he came home.
He likes cigars.
Yes.
At Thursday nights, he'd go to the cigar bar, right?
More than Thursday nights, but yeah.
But that was one of his nights,
Okay.
right? So you texted him when Latoshia was there. Didn't tell him that she was there, but
Right.
texted him and just said, "This is strange."
Yeah.
And you said that it seemed a little odd, but she was happy to be there, happy to be talking to you.
Yes.
Up to this point on April the 4th of 2019, Brodes had never told you that he ventured outside of your marriage, had he?
No.
And you had never sanctioned that.
No.
He never told you that he had been involved in a 2-year relationship with Latoshia.
No.
He never told you that y'all would be sister wives.
No.
He never told you But he promised Latasha that he would tell you.
No.
Did he tell you that he saw Latasha earlier that night before she came to your apartment?
He did not.
Did he tell you after he got there that he had seen Latasha earlier that night at the cigar lounge?
No.
He acted like he had no idea she was even in town when he walked in that door, right?
Correct.
And if he had seen her at that cigar lounge earlier that night, that would not have been true. Right?
Correct.
I want to talk to you about while you and Latasha were talking, okay?
Mhm.
She never threatened you, right?
No.
Was never cross with you.
No.
And she engaged with you cordially.
Yes.
Seemed genuinely happy to be there.
Yes.
Now I want to talk to you about when Brodes arrived home, okay? Can you describe his demeanor when he walked in?
Agitated.
Did he immediately come in and offer the bourbon?
No, not immediately.
Okay. When did that happen?
I would say once he kind of settled in, he had bags, he had things with him, so he set those down, told me that he had brought me these aminos. You know, he made the statement about this was an uninvited guest. And then I think that's when he started saying, you know, what are you doing here? Where are you staying? That whole bit. And at some point around there is when he offered, does anybody want a drink?
After he made the drinks, he also sat down, right?
Yes.
And when we're looking at Exhibit 2, Brodes sat in this chair?
I can't remember which chair he sat in, to be honest.
That's okay.
One of those chairs.
And while he was seated in one of these chairs, Latasha was still seated here?
Yes.
Were you still seated over here?
Yes.
Brodes made himself a drink,
Yes.
and he made Latasha a drink, right?
Right.
And you didn't want a drink.
Right.
You had had some champagne earlier in the night, and you were done.
Fine. Yes.
When Brodes was talking to Latasha about, you know, why she was here, what she was doing, he was kind of making small talk with her, right?
It was, I guess you can call it that. It was like badgering almost. Yeah.
He still seemed agitated.
Yeah.
At some point, did you notice that he kind of stopped talking to Latasha and only started engaging with you?
I didn't.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Your Honor, I have a transcript of her statement. I've previously provided a copy to the state, but I have a bound copy provided just for ease of reference. Could you look at page 8 for me? Lines 8 through 17.
Okay.
And just read those for me and let me know.
What line is 18? I'm sorry. It's not numbered.
May I approach? Yes. It should be. It's just hard to see. Oh, okay. I don't know why yours don't have. Okay, I'm sorry, it's page 9. Starting here,
Okay.
and then just down a couple lines.
Okay. So it says,
Oh, you don't have to read it, just read it to yourself.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
okay.
Do you remember telling the police that he kind of stopped talking to her and started engaging only with you?
I don't, but if it's here.
You don't dispute that that's,
I know, I won't dispute it.
okay. You could just put that in.
Okay.
Thank you. Was that normal behavior for him, I guess?
I would say that it was normal for behavior for him with his life group leaders. It was not unusual for him to talk kind of rough to them and just, I would often say, I don't know why y'all put up with him. But it was usually just, that's just him, you know, kind of a good fun kind of way of roughhousing, so to speak. So I always found it kind of cringy, but it was not unusual.
Okay. I want to talk to you now about when Latasha said that she was going to go ahead and go.
Okay.
She basically said, I'm not going to keep you guys, right? And everybody stood up. And you led the way to the door.
Right.
Latasha was behind you,
Correct.
and Brodes was behind her.
Yes.
And you got all the way outside, right? I mean, to the stairs of the apartment complex.
Right.
And Latasha and Brodes were still back towards the apartment.
Correct.
Latasha right outside the door, Brodes in the door.
Right.
Did you hear her ask him to walk her to her car?
No.
When they were over there and you were at the stairs, they were kind of had their own thing going on over there while you were trying to walk on out, right?
I don't know because my back was turned, so,
Right.
you know, it wasn't until I turned around that I realized they weren't right, you know, behind me.
And you were telling her, just don't speed, be careful, you know, you've had something to drink,
Right.
right? You had no idea what was going on behind you.
No.
So then I want to talk to you about when you turned around and saw Latasha, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She was still at the door of your apartment.
Well, she was out from the door, yeah.
And that's, your door is right next to your neighbor's door, right?
No, it's across the hall.
Okay, thank you. So she is standing right outside the door. Brodes is standing in the door frame.
Mm-hmm.
So she was closer to Brodes than you were.
Yes.
Do you remember how far away you were?
So from our front door to the stairs might be from here to the beginning of this green partition. So it's not, we're not very far from the stairs, yeah. So if this is the front door, those are the stairs.
Okay, so
So
you
if
and I-
I'm there, Brodes is here, she's maybe here. So it's like, you know, equal space between all three of us. It's not a lot of space.
12 feet?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not good at guessing it either. Somewhere 10 to 12 feet, maybe 10 to 15 feet? Does that look like a good guess to you?
This looks good to me.
She don't know. She can't answer. She said she can't.
I can move on.
Oh, it's the same objection.
Latasha was facing Brodes.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
And you saw her reach into her pocket, right?
Yes.
And this was as y'all were walking out to her car.
This is still upstairs.
Right,
Yeah.
but that was the direction that,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And when you saw her reach into her pocket,
Mhm.
you saw her pull out a gun.
Yes.
Now, prior to that moment, had you ever seen a gun?
No.
Prior to that moment, had she seemed to be a threat to you?
No.
Prior to that moment, did you think you were in harm's way being with her?
No.
She started firing the gun
Yes.
towards Brodes.
Correct.
You were in the opposite direction, right?
I was behind them. Yes.
And you ran to your apartment, or your neighbor's apartment,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you weren't even in the apartment when the shots started.
No, I was still outside the apartment.
When y'all were in the apartment, the three of you,
Mhm.
was the door closed
After the shots were fired?
before?
Oh, before. Yeah, the door was closed before.
Could anyone see into your apartment
No.
with the door closed?
No.
It was private.
Right.
No one else other than the three of you was in the apartment.
Correct.
After the door gets open, you go outside, you're visible to everyone else in the apartment complex. Well, that could see where y'all were, right? You became visible outside of your apartment.
Not really, no.
So if your neighbor had opened the door.
If my neighbor across the hall had opened the door, sure.
They could see Latasha standing.
Mm-hmm.
They could see Brodes standing in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened until after that was already out in more public area than y'all had been before, right?
Right.
You, at some point, lunged for Brodes, right?
Yes.
And tried to shield him.
Well, this was after the shooting had occurred, yeah. Once we were back in the apartment by then.
Prior to that point, prior to you trying to shield him, she had not fired any shots at you, right?
No.
And when you got shot, did you realize it?
Yes.
Did you grab your shoulder?
Yeah, the bullet moved me. The shot threw me. Yeah.
And you were right against Brodes at that point too, right?
Until I got shot, right.
And then you said, Tasha, you shot me.
Mm-hmm.
What did she say back to you?
Something to the effect of, I didn't mean to.
And then you told her basically, like, go, leave,
Yeah, just get out of here.
just get out of here. I won't tell them it was you, just go.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
She didn't move.
No.
And at some point, you could hear the sirens coming.
Yes.
And Latasha still never moved.
Right.
She never put down the gun.
No.
And when the police came up, they had their guns drawn.
Correct.
And she still didn't put down the gun.
Correct.
And in fact, she pointed the gun at her own self,
Yes.
towards her mouth,
Yes.
towards her head,
Yes.
against her chest.
Yes.
And the police were trying to talk to her to get her to put the gun down.
Right.
And she wasn't even really interacting with them.
She was talking back, you know. Like,
Was she
no.
crying at that point?
Probably. I don't remember.
Do you remember her saying, "What have I done?"
No.
May I approach her? If you could just read right here. Right here, this paragraph. You don't have to read it out loud, just to yourself.
Oh, okay.
Did you tell the police that she said, "Oh, what have I done?"
Yeah, it appears that I did.
And this was taken the day, that next morning after this happened, right?
Correct.
One of the main things that you heard Latasha saying during this was that he broke her heart.
Right.
And that was the main thing that she said to you.
Yeah.
The gunshot wound that you suffered, you had to go to the hospital for.
Yes.
You were there for a couple hours, right?
Yes.
And you got released.
Yes.
You left the hospital.
Yes.
A couple hours later, you got a phone call. Right?
From?
To come back to the hospital.
No.
No?
No.
The surgeon and the chaplain didn't call you to come back?
No. I was still there when they told me that he died.
Okay. So you left and came back?
I never left. I never left. I was there all night.
Yeah, Bridge?
Yes.
If you could just read right around. Start here, just to the bottom of the page.
the detective saying this is when he left.
Keep reading them.
Okay. I read a little out of it. Yeah, that was wrong. That's wrong, because I didn't, the song was up when I left the hospital.
So that's just.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
And this was a stressful night, right? A very traumatic event.
Yeah,
And you had no idea why any of this happened.
right.
But eventually you were told that Brodes had passed away.
Correct.
You went and gave a statement that next day with Curated, right?
Right.
Pastor Pointer and Pastor Turner came with you.
Right.
Did you ask them to come with you?
They're the only people that could have come because I did not know a soul in Memphis. So when everything happened, I didn't know anybody's phone number. So they called Pastor Turner. They went through hoops to get in touch with him. He and his wife showed up. He called Pastor Pointer that morning. He drove over from Little Rock. So there was really nobody else that could have come.
And they actually came into the interview room with you, right?
Yes.
And while you were talking to police, the police were saying, do you know why this happened?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mhm.
And you have to say yes or no.
Yes.
So she's recording. And you and the police both talked about why.
Right.
Nobody understands why.
Right.
Did Pastor Pointer ever say, actually, I know that they were in a relationship?
No.
Did he ever tell you that before you went in?
Objective. That's hearsay. I don't know what the purpose of it is.
And it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's being offered to show whether or not he provided that information.
The approach.
Pointer speak up about any information? The police obviously did an investigation, right? And during your statement, they kind of talked to you about things that they found in the investigation. One of the things that they found was Brodes' phone. Do you remember that? You don't remember them asking you about his passcode?
Oh, yeah, I remember them asking about passcode, yes.
And you have a cell phone?
Yes.
Do a lot on your cell phone, right? It's a form of communication, right? It's a calendar,
Yes.
it's a GPS tracker, right? It's all of those things. It can be a wealth of information, right? And the police asked you if you had the passcode to his phone. And that would be the thing that you type in to open it up, right? And you did not know the passcode to Brodes' phone.
Correct.
So they were not able to open it.
Okay.
Is that right?
Correct.
And so they gave you back his phone because they said, we can't use it.
I don't know if they gave it to somebody. I don't have it to this day. I don't know.
May I approach?
Yes.
Do you remember the police having you go through, like giving you back your phone and initialing this? If you will read right here. Do you see where the police gave you back his phone?
So, yeah.
And again, this was an extraordinarily traumatic experience, right?
Right.
And sometimes with traumatic experiences, you may not remember everything perfectly, right? Up until on into after this case had been charged and everything, you didn't know about this relationship until well into this process.
Yeah, I would say not until the detectives confirmed for me.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
All right, you may sit down, ma'am. Anybody need a break? The jurors? All right, we're gonna take a short 10-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene. You would keep them separate and apart from all persons, that you will not allow them to communicate in any manner with anyone, nor anyone with them, and as it concerns the matter on trial, nor with you, nor you with them, and that you will deliver them safely into court, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna call the jury back in and, give them some admonitions, and then we'll start back in the morning at 9:30. Yes.
Well, and so I'm just, and we talked a little bit about this. I've got the next 3 witnesses are Carterville PD officers, which are easy to get back and forth. But the 3 after that, particularly the 2 after that, one's coming from Arkansas. based on our progress thus far, I'm not confident we will get to the fourth witness tomorrow. And I hate for him to have to come from Arkansas 2.5 hours, go back to Arkansas 2.5 hours, and come back the next morning. And I sure don't think we'll get to 5, but sure as I say that, we'll be sitting here at 2 o'clock and we'll be out of proof. So I guess what I'm asking the court is, would you be okay if I have the 3 Collierville officers here and the guy from Arkansas? If it looks like we're gonna run out of time, I'll take the guy from Arkansas out of order, but I'm not gonna ask TBI from Nashville to come tomorrow. If we get through those 4, we'll be down to 2 Thursday morning for me that I think are pretty short. And if we run out of time, it's on me, but I didn't want to run out of time. If we finish earlier, it's on me, but I didn't want you to look at me like, why are you not having your witnesses here?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And we have no objection to taking that witness out of order.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, I'm gonna call the jury in, and I'm gonna give them some, admonitions, and then we'll reconvene for tomorrow. So if you can get the jury in.
Yes, ma'am. The jury in the court at this time.
You may be seated. All right. Well, we are at a good stopping point for the day. I want to give you some instructions again. There are several rules concerning your conduct during the jury selection process, the trial, and during recesses that you should keep in mind. First, you should not conduct your own private investigation into this case. For an example, do not visit the scene of an alleged incident, try to read any textbooks or articles concerning any issue in this case, or consult any other source of information. If you were to do that, you will be getting information that is not evidence in this case. You must decide this case only on the evidence and law presented to you during the trial. Any juror who receives any information about this case other than that presented at trial must notify the court immediately. Second, you cannot discuss the case either among yourselves or with anyone else during the trial. You must keep an open mind until you have heard all the evidence, my final instructions, and the attorney's closing arguments. Any discussions before you retire to deliberate would be premature and improper. Third, you cannot allow any other person to discuss the case with you or in your presence. If anyone does attempt to do so, report this fact to the court immediately without discussing the incident with any of the other jurors. Fourth, do not try to speak to any of the attorneys, parties, or witnesses in this case, even for the limited purpose of saying good morning. They are also instructed not to talk to you, and you must report any contact with you. In no other way can all the parties feel assured of your absolute impartiality. So again, we're still not ready to discuss the case, okay? Go to dinner, have a good night's sleep, and we'll be ready to get back to work in the morning around 9:30, okay? So I'm gonna excuse you for the day, and remember, do not discuss the case, okay? You can leave your notepads under your seats.
Jury, you can pen, pass in the chair and follow me.
adjourn court for the day.
All rise. Of course, next time tomorrow morning, 9 a.m.
All right.